Back for another round. Let's get it set up. It's 12 o'clock. I'm a little late. I try and come on early, so I'll give everybody a little time to come on in. Hello. Welcome to Money Monday. Hi, Rashana. Happy that you are here. Today we have a very, very interesting topic. One that I've been dancing around, not wanting to talk about, but I finally got my life together and said, you know what, people need to hear, maybe understand, think of a different perspective to this. So I'm going to try and provide that. We are talking about Chadwick Boseman today and the news that he did not have a will when he passed away. But of course, I have a little extra stuff to tell you guys about before we jump into that. So I'm going to give it one more second and allow me. Hello, welcome. All right, let's jump right in. All right, let me move all of this out of your way. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. But for the majority, this Money Monday is about estate planning. So, welcome everybody. My name is Jayla Eaton. I am your wealth best friend, that person that you can talk to about all things financial, all things building wealth, and all things estate planning. I'm here to help you learn, to be a resource, and to give you that financial confidence that you need to go out there and be great. So with that said, I come on every Monday at 12 and just try and answer your questions and talk to you about the things that you may not be able to access an attorney for or a certified financial advisor. I'm here. All right. So before I jump into our topic of the day, I want to remind you guys to vote. I mean, we have 15 days left, people. If you've gotten your ballot and you're doing absentee like me, feel free to go to california.ballottracks.net and you can actually see when your ballot is accepted. You'll see when they mailed it to you. And it's a really helpful tool. It allows you to get text updates and you can also get email alerts. So very, very beneficial. Also, when you're voting, look at the propositions. They can be real confusing. Sometimes you have to read through them. We literally got together, a group of us, and we talked about them. We did our research. We had links. It was a great discussion. I highly advise, if you want to be a more informed voter, that you get together with a group and try and decipher stuff. Last but not least, the PPP loans. If you took one, they are starting to forgive the loans, the SBA. So check the rules to see if you qualify, but know that things with the SBA change daily. So it might be good to know what you qualify for now and see if, anything changes and they allow you to get a larger amount forgiven. I think right now I heard they're forgiving about $50,000 max. So you definitely want to get those loans forgiven if you qualify. All right, let's jump into our topic. So recently we had to go through losing one of our heroes, Chadwick Boseman, who was known for so many notable roles and being such a wonderful actor in Jackie Robinson, in playing James Brown, and being Thurgood Marshall. Me as an attorney, that one hit me deep, and it was the history that I needed to know about my profession. But I think he was best known as Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All very wonderful, wonderful movies. So to lose him was huge. Now, to lose him and know that he didn't have a will, for me, was even more heartbreaking. I struggled. I really did not know how to make a comment on it. And that's me saying that from, I have a full book where I talk about all of our heroes, all of our legends, called Controlling Your Legacy, that didn't have an estate plan, and how that affected their families and their legacies and their estates. And so I just wanted to take some time today, kind of help people understand the possibilities and what it means when you die without a will, especially in California, because it's commonplace right now. A third of people, all people, say that they don't have a will in 2020, and that's less than the people in 2017. So the rate of having a will, or even thinking about it and writing it down, is going down. Another reason why I'm here advocating for you guys to get it done, especially with COVID. We have 200,000 people that are gone in this year alone. Now, it's even worse when I look at my own race, because a lot of the clients that I work with say they didn't know they needed one, didn't think they had enough assets for one, and just ran out of time and didn't do one. All of the above. Or they did one 20 years ago and didn't think they needed to update it. You have to protect your estate. You have to protect the unknown. Don't think about it from a monetary standpoint. Think about it from allowing your family to focus on being able to grieve their loss and not have to worry about, like Chadwick's widow having to worry about. Now TMZ is pushing this story and the news outlets are on it and social media is on it. It kind of brings back that he's really gone, instead of being able to quietly continue with your life and process that the love of your life is gone. You're having to make decisions that he didn't make. You're having to think, is this something that he would have wanted, instead of having a written account, this is exactly what I want. It's important for anybody at any stage to create their will, to create their trust, and be prepared. But there are levels. I get it. If you're not prepared to invest in your estate plan, you can still do it yourself. You can start with Google, learn what a will is, learn the elements that should be in it, learn your state requirements for it so that it'll be a valid, accepted will. And you can go that way. Free and cheap, just takes a little time. You can buy Controlling Your Legacy, which will walk you through all of the knowledge and education on what these documents are. And for California residents, it actually gives you the statutory will form that you need to create your estate plan, your will. It'll also tell you how to do a California holographic will, which is just the one you write out yourself. And it will give you my contact information if you want to have me review those documents, or if you want me to create those documents for you. There's also LegalZoom, there's Trust and Will. There are a lot of companies that'll do will forms and trust forms for you. But even they are going to recommend that you have them looked over by an attorney, just to avoid any conflicts, any problems. But in 2020, we have no excuses. Please get your estate plan done by any means necessary. For anybody just joining, we are talking about the importance of your having an estate plan, regardless of what you think you have, what you believe you don't have. Just being on social media, you need an estate plan, because, hey, who's going to deal with this profile that you created after you're gone? Who has the passwords? Let's hope somebody can get into your Gmail or your email to do it, because going to those companies, they're going to want to see either an affidavit of your executor or administrator or trustee or somebody who's in charge, and that means going to the court. Or you could have that already sorted out and they can be ready to just activate with the documents that they need to get your plan in place. Other than that, I personally believe that Chadwick Boseman has a trust, personally, but that may be me being optimistic. But from what I've read about the case, his widow filed that his estate is valued at just under $1 million. I think it's more than that, which means to me, or says to me, that there's another document controlling his legacy, which I'm hopeful. I'm so hopeful. But you also have to understand that just by doing your beneficiary designations or having a joint owner on your accounts, that'll avoid probate, and that'll avoid the amount that you have to list on those documents. Because the goal is to avoid probate. Why? Because it's expensive, because it's time consuming, because it's the court. It's not necessarily the most fair place for a lot of us. So why do it if you don't have to? In California, statutory fees. So they tell you if you have a will, you're golden. You're not. You're still going to probate court. But most people don't tell you about the fees. With Chadwick's estate being valued at right under $1 million, his widow's looking at maybe about $22,000 in attorney's fees if she had them file the petition. Statutory fees, mandatory. And then if they don't allow her to be the administrator, because they may say it's a complex estate and they want a fiduciary, that's another $22,000 out the door. Statutory fees, because they get a percentage of your estate. I don't know about you, but I work too hard to just give away my money like that. And that's before the court costs. That's before the estate tax. But for what, though? When you could have had a flat fee, an attorney get your documents together or done them yourself and been just fine. Avoided this process. A lot of what an estate planner does is seek to make sure you don't have any money in your estate when you pass away. And I give you that information, just your beneficiary designations, your having other people on your accounts. Those are all strategies to make sure that your wealth passes the way that you want it to do. It's an estate plan, but it avoids probate because you've written something down. Welcome to everybody who's just joining. We're talking about estate planning and the fact that Chadwick Boseman didn't have a will. But like I said, a lot of times people get half the information. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta have a trust, period. That's why I make sure to tell everybody, no, you have to have a full estate plan. If he was sick and ended up in the hospital and couldn't tell them what he wanted, an advance directive would have been helpful for his widow to say, this is what he wanted. He already let me know. It's written down here. This is what we're doing. Allowing her to just be present in the moment with her husband. They're things that we take lightly, but it's disastrous if we don't do ahead of time. So I've told you about the fees. I've told you, but I haven't told you the best part and the most shocking part for some people. I don't believe Chadwick had any children. So it's great that they got married and that the law says everything that he had goes to her. Wonderful. That's the first transfer. We're done. But do you think he would be okay with, if she doesn't do her estate planning, his assets, everything he worked for, his legacy, going and remaining in her family? Because that's where it goes if she doesn't do her estate planning. Regardless of the fact his parents are still alive, her assets, after she inherits them, They are hers to do with what she wants. And if she doesn't plan, they are now her family's. So his family, any siblings or parents, anybody, they're not going to get it. Unless she actively, his widow, actively says all of these assets should transfer to the Bosemans. And I think that's the second level that a lot of people don't get to when they say, oh yeah, my husband gets everything, or my wife is going to get everything, so I don't need to do my plan. That's great, but did you want anything in your family? Did you want your family tree to see any of the fruits of your labor ever? I mean, if not, then you achieved your goal by just allowing the state and their default rules to execute that for you. But if that's not what you wanted, you have to take affirmative action to do your estate planning. You could easily say, my wife gets to benefit from all of the things that I created while I was here. And then I want all my assets to go to a charity that my trust will create in my name, in her name, in whoever's name, and continue my legacy. Because now his legacy is in her hands, which is great. That's your wife. But if that's not what you necessarily wanted, and if you didn't have that conversation with her, now you're causing her stress and struggle trying to figure out, okay, what would he have wanted me to do? Don't do that. Don't. Because he's going to have money coming in. His estate is not going to close because he was part of some of the highest grossing movies of all time. Those Marvel movies, they will continue based on however his contract was drafted. They will continue to bring money. And as long as your estate receives any money, any checks, it can't close. Your trusts are meant to stay open, depending on how you draft them. There are trusts in this world that were started in the 30s, and they're still going today. The trustees change, but the purpose of the trust is still ongoing, and until that purpose is completed, it's going to stay open. But you know what they're not going to have to deal with? Court costs and fees, and the estate having to petition the court and deal with oversight and deal with publicity. They get to do these things in private. So it's very important to understand trust and wills and all of the documents and have a plan. So I think I've given you quite a lot of information today. I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that I got. If you have any more questions or want more information about the Chadwick Boseman situation, I have a blog post about it that will be coming out later today. And you can find that on my website, on myownfinancial.com/blog. If you want to do a consultation, I have those on the website, same website, but it'll take you to my law office of J. Eaton, because I am a practicing attorney in California. But let's see. So Miss Octavia is asking if the same rules apply when you have kids. Now, default state rules is what I'm assuming that you're talking about. Every state is different. That's why you need an estate planner in your state. In California, if you don't have kids and you have a spouse, then it goes to your spouse. If you have kids and a spouse and you don't make plans, there's certain properties, because we have community property and separate property here in California. There are certain situations where your spouse would have to share some of your assets with your children, which can cause problems too within families if they're not prepared to do that, because most spouses go into it thinking, no, this is all mine. What do you mean you're inheriting? No, that was my husband. So we don't want those fights. So we don't want to leave our assets to the default rules. Also, great question with blended families. Yeah. So unless you adopted that child, most of the time, if that's not legally your child, they don't get anything. So blended families, it's very important to do your estate planning. It's important when you have nieces and nephews. You don't have any kids and you have nieces and nephews. The state default rules will not get your assets to your nieces and nephews if that's who you wanted it to go to. So do your planning. What's a good book to read when you're in the beginning stages of financial literacy? There are a few that I read. One I hate referring you to because I just don't like, I guess I'll say, the politics and the responses of the author, but I think the book is necessary. So I'm gonna think on that a little harder, but if I have to, I will give you the name of that book. Because it was one of the ones that shifted my perspective. I do think reading The Millionaire Next Door is a great introduction for the rationale why you should have financial literacy, because for me, it helped me get over the insecurities. Because when you decide to be financially literate, you change. You end up very different from the people that are around you. I don't know how to say that. Like, you're not into cars. You're not into doing things for show. You're into what's in your bank account. You're into investing and having your money work for you. So that was a good one because it helped me realize, most of the people around me are in debt, but they make it look good. I want to be good. I don't want to be in debt. Other than that, I can't believe this Money Monday was like 20 minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching and being here and supporting. I will continue to be here for the rest of the Monday, answering your questions in my stories, in the DMs. So if you need me, let me know. But have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to On My Own Financial. Bye.